where George stayed back in '63, September, and the Beatles. Wow, how do you start that story? I think it was the biggest rock and roll band of all time, bigger than anything I ever saw. Beatlemania. I'm still feeling the radiations 31 years later. I think George Harrison, he influenced a lot of my playing, just not minimally, but just the opposite. I think he was probably the first guy I ever really heard use an echo chamber. And then as I studied that music and I listened to it, I listened to Chuck Berry and Scotty Moore with Elvis Presley and James Burton and Eddie Cochran. I saw where he had gotten all his stuff from. But to tell you the truth, I think he's the one who broke the wall down for me, with John Paul and Ringo, of course. And you know, it's good to be here at 113 McCann on November 29th of 1995, and happy to know that they're preserving this house. They're not going to knock it down like the city wanted to, and Benton's going to hold on to this little piece of dreamery, as I call it, you know. And what more is this to say, but I hope that the Beatles can keep going and just spread that beautiful music like they did 30 years ago. And I've never heard anything like it. I mean, all the songs, the melodies, the art, everything that grew up out of Beatlemania. It just wasn't just the musicianship that improved. Wall Street men in New York City were walking around with flowered ties and shirts and loud clothing, and just a year earlier they were these stiff businessmen with crew cuts. Now they were growing their hair long and primping around in front of the mirror and seeing if they looked as good as the next guy down the street. And George had a lot to do with that. His fashions, his style with the turtleneck on, and the other three Beatles with their ties, he would change the mode, and his extra pointy boots and the longer hair than the rest. He really did a lot for pushing rock and roll. Probably the Beatles did just as much as Elvis Presley did. Who's Elvis is the greatest singer. Everybody's happy. On the hill, but I never heard them ringing. No, I never heard them at all, till there was you. There were birds in the sky, but I never saw them winging. No, I never saw them at all, till there was you all around. But I never heard it singing. No, I never heard it at all, till there was you. And there was love all